Wow, guys, I haven't been live in a while. Y'all didn't remember how to get back into the room. Let them know I'm live. Let them know I came back. How is everybody doing? I know it's been a crazy 24 hours, and I'm probably not talking about the most popular topic, but you know what? I don't care. Let everybody know. Let me let some of my folks on Instagram know that I am alive. Let me let them know I'm live. Hopefully you guys will figure it out. I'm a bit out of the algorithm. All right, gang. All right. I hope everybody's doing okay. It has been a bit crazy. I've got all kinds of stuff going on here. I am all discombobulated and out of sorts and out of order. All right, gang. This is what I'm going to do. I am going to play an intro. And we're going to let the room load. And then I want you, while we're playing the intro, to let people know that we're here and we're actually talking about mental health, about PTSD, about coming out of everything that we have been involved in, and the fear and the trauma and everything over the last couple of years, and how we're going to heal that, okay? So I want you to tell them on Facebook to come over. I want you to tell them on YouTube to come on over. If they're usually on the TikToks, tell them to come over to the YouTubes, okay? And we're going to get started. So let me play this intro. Hey, AT2, hello, friend. Hello, Melinda J. All right, I'm going to play this intro, and then we're going to get the party started, okay? I think I'm going to play an intro. I think I have an intro. Here it goes. Welcome to another edition of the Sunday Soul Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Lisa Brewer, and today we have with us Jeremy McDonald, the Storytelling Alchemist. Jeremy has done a number of things: a corporate trainer, a podcaster, radio show host, healer, teacher, but he has such amazing insight into where we are today and how we can get through this time. So we're going to talk together about, are we in a global PTSD? And if we are, how the heck can we get out of it? So sit back and relax and enjoy today's Sunday Soul Podcast. Okay, guys. So I figured let's just do that, right? Because hopefully you saw earlier today I did a special edition of the Sunday Soul podcast, and I have backstage with me my new good friend, Mr. Jeremy McDonald. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hey, what's going on?
Oh, nothing much. You get to now experience the live version.
Well, I was just thinking like we're doing a Sunday podcast on Wednesday, so that's perfect. And the
you
kitty is
know, yeah,
kitty
you
is totally showing us his booty.
yeah, Kitty Gemini has entered the building. She said we can start.
If she was a lady,
Um,
I would think that was about attention, but you know.
yeah, well, one might think so. One might think so. I'm gonna welcome everybody in the chat here. Hello, my friend AT2. Hey, Melinda J, my amazing moderator. Thank you, girl, for being here. Hello, Dr. Natasha. How are you? Hello, Mr. Armand Wiggins. Hello, my friend. Oh, Shiny, how's it going? Hello. And I hear that Sebastian is here. Yeah, yes, we do love Geminis, and she is definitely she's a
Love
May
Gemini.
Gemini though. She's a May
May
Gemini. So
Gemini. Okay,
yeah, I
okay.
don't know if that makes a difference, but it is what it is. Hello, Miss Christina. How are you? Hey, Sebastian. How are you, my dear? How are you? And then, Melinda, if you could, as we always do, could you please rotate through AT2's channel and Armand Wiggins' channel, please, as well? Thank you so very much. We're going to get started. I hope that you all have had an opportunity to go and listen to the podcast interview that Jeremy and I did. We recorded it a while back, but I just dropped it today. I don't conform to anybody's time frame. So, every day could be Sunday if we want it to be. Um, but it was really appropriate, I think, for a lot of things that have gone on in the last couple of days to talk about this subject, and not just the last couple of days, but the last couple of years. Um, and we're going to talk about healing the global PTSD. Um, Jeremy, can you, for those that haven't yet to see the podcast, can you introduce yourself a little bit to the people?
Yeah, absolutely. My name is Jeremy McDonald. I've been in the energetic healing, um, life coaching, executive coaching, psychic, metaphysical world, corporate training since for 24, almost 25 years. So this has been not a new world for me. And so one of the things that we're going to be talking about tonight is something I've been thinking about since 2013, which is the world is suffering from a global post-traumatic stress. And obviously more so in the last couple of years, but this has been building over the past several years. And we could get into a lot of esoteric reasons why, which I hopefully will talk about that too. But yeah, lots of my name of my business is called the Storytelling Alchemist, which we can talk about that a little later on. So
Absolutely. And we are going to get into all of that because here we talk about these subjects that are either part of culture or pop culture, general news, whatever's happening in the globe and happening to the collective. And we bring the esoteric or the physical, metaphysical, I should say, energetic explanation to it. Because so often we gloss over that, right? So I'm not saying that, standard psychotherapy or anything like that is a bad thing because it's not. But I also think that we really need to deal with what's going on energetically within us as we're dealing, with kind of the 3D mental. So mental health. And this is not mental health awareness month, I think. So I really feel like this is very important. You talk about from 2013 that you feel like this has happened. Why do you feel like we've been building up to this kind of crescendo that we're in today?
well, a couple things. One is social media is a big thing. Social media is a huge indicator about what has been going on in people's mind because you have to think about it. Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, all these social media sites, people can hide behind their computer and they can say whatever is on their mind. And so it's one of those things where, you can start to get an idea and what people say in those moments, whether they're trolling or whatever, they're stating what's internally going on inside of them. And that's one of those things where even if you're with them live in person, if somebody says to you a really nasty thing, chances are there's nasty thoughts going on inside of their brain and then their body, which is affecting them. So
Mm-hmm.
I started watching in 2013. I mean, we had just gotten past 2012 and the whole Mayan calendar, all that kind of stuff. And it was supposed to be this great awakening. But everybody forgot that a great awakening comes with growth. And so awakenings we can have, I mean, I've had probably 4 or 5 profound awakenings in my adult life, and everybody talks about this one story that they had when they were awake, and then I'm like, that's a lifelong thing. I mean, like if they really looked at themselves, and when I coach and work with people, I'm like, what do you mean you only had one awakening? And they're like, I'm like, this is a lifelong thing. I've had like
Yeah.
several of them.
Yeah.
And so I mean, like they're like, no, it's this profound thing. I
Yeah.
walked into this party, and all of a sudden something hit me, and I was like, I could feel everybody's emotions. And then so okay, so you had an experience where you realized that things are not just the five senses. Great, that's amazing. I mean, that's an awakening. But what's happened is with the post-traumatic stress is these are traumas that have happened. And they're not just about what's happened in this world. There's a thing called ancestral trauma, which
Mm-hmm.
is in the Bible, they talk about that we inherit the sins of our fathers,
Mm-hmm.
or it's called generational post-traumatic stress. We
Mm-hmm.
have karmic trauma that is happening within internally within us, and all that energy is not only you're born to it in your DNA,
Mm-hmm.
but you're also born to it as far as storing it in energy within your physical body. So what's our job? What is our job in this lifetime? To transmute that energy within inside of ourselves. And so, how do you do that? Well, you start to love yourself and love these traumas and hold yourself accountable and lovingly hold other people accountable by being a beacon of truth for yourself. And so, we're all out there trying to save the world. I was just at dinner in Newport Whitby, called SIPS, and we were all chatting about the world. And I'm like, yeah, we can be mad about the things in the world, but until we're willing to change things in ourselves, and then we're not going to see a lot of changes in this life. And they're like, well, I don't do all these things. I'm like, well, no, you don't. But what you could do is start doing things that you know are right for you, and being right for you. And so, and it's just a long story, but there's a lot we go. 2013, I started feeling this and watching people fly off the handle on people and get upset, and watched it on social media, which I love social media because social media has made it where you and I can connect in
True.
Zoom and restream, and there's a lot of benefits to it. I have friends in Japan and Germany and all over the place, and I wouldn't be able to have that if we didn't have social media. So,
But social media as well, though, right? Because I don't want us to leave some of this stuff because there's a lot of good stuff right there. Social media itself has also made it easier for hurt people to hurt people. Can we just say that?
mhm.
I think it's made it easier for the empath that is unhealed and is yet to transmute. I was just having this conversation with someone today that as empathic people or people that are lean more empathic, we all have a little bit of narcissism in us, right? But the ones that are lean more empathically, because we haven't done our own work, we tend to attract the narcissist that's going to deeply wound us.
Not Gemini though. She's looking there, and she was like, 2 weeks ago, I left the house and scared my mom to death, but I don't even care. Right now, I'm on her show, and I'm dominating the show because I got beautiful eyes.
um,
Yeah, I
but
agree with you. I mean, there's a little bit inside of, well, it's trauma. And even
yes,
the narcissist, let's just be honest. I mean, yeah, I talk a lot about narcissism in my
yes,
practice, but what is a narcissist? A narcissist is a wounded individual.
yes,
So, you know,
yes. And we talk a lot about that here is that I believe unless they're like some sort of sociopathic, psychopathic individual, narcissists are created, they're not born. So the vast majority of folks that I know that show narcissistic traits and are actively active that way, and there's a reason why I'm going here. It that they themselves have experienced great trauma and injury and they now act and react this way because it's the only way that they've known to be able to get any kind of positive or negative attention,
Hmm.
what they would consider love or fuel, right?
Yeah.
But the reason I'm going here is because I feel like, especially over the past 2 years, you and I have a little bit more advantage because we've got the perspective of time.
Hmm.
Where we've been at this a little bit longer, and there's going to be a lot of people that have been at this a little bit longer than others. But over the last 2 years, it feels like it was a very rapid increase in the level of fear, the level of trauma, the just this level of very low vibrational controlling energy that was just like, just kind
Hmm.
of thrust upon us, not saying anything one way or the other, just saying it what it was.
Hmm.
And so how are we as those that are beginning to awaken, how do we find our way to that love yourself and trust yourself energy again?
That's a really good question, because one of the things that's really powerful, and what I want to say is, I don't care what spiritual level you're at, the universe, spirit, your internal world, whatever you work off of, is testing you at all times. And Shiny, is that her name in the
Yes.
comments? You're absolutely right. It is a choice to evolve and grow, because we have all these things that are happening to us. I mean, I started off the beginning of the pandemic, I hadn't felt alone in 10 years. And so I was sitting there on my couch the first month, and my friends were doing a whole bunch of other things, and they were obviously at home because we were all in lockdown and all that other kind of stuff. And for
Mhm.
the first time in 10 years, I felt loneliness.
Mm.
So here was my choice. I could either fall into that loneliness and
Mhm.
let it overwhelm me, but I have a belief that you let it come in. So I said, let it come in, and I started facing it. And I said, well, if I know the spirits are around me all the time and are guiding me, and that I have people in the physical world that love me, and I love myself, I can look in front of the mirror and say without a shadow of a doubt I love myself, then why would I be alone? And so
Mhm.
these are kind of things you have to talk about with that little child, or that inner child that's saying, I feel alone right now. So anyways, the point is that the universe is giving you all these circumstances to face yourself. And
Mm.
so, and it's one of those things where it doesn't matter. People will say, I try to avoid drama, or I just avoid drama at all costs. I'm like, well, those are the people that are usually the most overdramatic. And the other thing is, the other part of it is that nobody avoids drama. Drama is always there. I don't care. The Dalai Lama has drama. He had to escape in the middle of the night because the Chinese were invading his palace. That was
Mhm.
that was drama, and it
Yeah.
was on a scale that none of us have experienced. But and then he's lived in exile for however many years and all that kind of stuff. So even the Dalai Lama's experienced some kind of adversity. So you're never going to escape that. It's how you respond to it. And each time you go through another experience, you're going to look at it, become more self-aware, and you're going to respond to it differently. I'm going through some similar experiences that I did in 2006 to 2008 right now. Lisa's been through me with a part of this over the past few months, and the great part is that I'm responding tremendously different than I did in 2006 and 2008, which means that it's not just spiritual. I've grown up. I've become a man instead of a child. And it's one of those things where you just have to start looking at that stuff. And that's not an insult to any of us.
No, it's not.
That's just looking at it and say, good job. And so
Yes.
the universe kept on giving me situations over and over and over and over again to make me stronger. So spiritual work is about exercising a muscle with inside of yourself. It's like going to the gym, and you work
Yes.
out, you get your muscle stronger and stuff like that, and they tear down and build up. Well, your spiritual muscles are the same thing.
Yes. So, but let me, I'm going to agree with everything. What about for those people? Because I hear from a lot of folks that are 20s, early 30s. Um, and it's not only them, but I hear from them a lot that it's as if everything that they knew was yanked away from them at the blink of an eye. And they were, basically they were shut in, right? Locked down. And now, even though theoretically or practically we're outside now and interacting again, they're having a very difficult time transfer, like going back into normalcy.
Mhm.
What, how do we as spiritual leaders, healers, coaches, mentors, how do you think that we can best serve them? What can we tell them?
So let's back up a real quick because you're mentioning that because they've had everything kind of ripped away from them, then they've been at home, not necessarily out in the world, I guess is the way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
How are they having to experience going back onto the world?
Because they're
And
telling me they're scared. They don't
yeah,
know how. And they're just very unsure now. There's a lot of uncertainty, and a lot of kind of this weirdness about we want relationship, but we don't. We want touch, but but that kind of like interaction, that's what I'm kind of getting
okay, all right, so that makes sense. So here's the deal: that a lot of these millennials and what is it, Gen Z? Is it the new one? They
at. I
have
think so.
not they have not had the experience even prior to the pandemic. Their world was social media, YouTube, TikTok, um, all that kind of stuff, Facebook, Instagram, all that kind of stuff, where they were interacting and building these social media presences. It's really funny because I've been looking at some of them. I'm like, how is I'm 48 and they've built this huge social media presence and they're like 19? It's just a different way of thinking. But what I will say to all of them that are scared, me and Lisa have been scared before, by the way. We've been completely terrified.
Yes.
And I think Lisa has one advantage on me, and she's had children, and I haven't had children. So that fear gets amplified when you're out there trying to live a life and you have to be responsible for little ones. But the only way to actually get out there, there's no magic sauce. You have to get out there and actually force yourself out into experiences. And you have to get your heart broken. You have to get disappointed. You have to get fired from a job, or you have to have a business fail. You have to have all these things that happen because, my father is a very wealthy man. And so, but he will tell me that I've failed more than I've been wealthy. I've lost money, been broke, ate ramen noodles, barely made it, scraped by, and all that other kind of stuff. And he told me this because in 2012 I went out on a book tour, and I sold more books than any other first time author has ever sold. Usually they sell like 40 or 50. I sold close to 2,000. And so, but and I thought I was a failure because I'd spent like $15,000 on this book tour, all that other kind of stuff, and blah 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 blah. All these things, all this narrative that you give yourself when you're like, "Oh, I failed." But the truth is you haven't failed. So the answer to the question is, get out there and fail, make mistakes, learn from them. And that's where me and Lisa step in because when they were like, hey, we're encouragers. We're like, get back out there, get back on the bike, get back on the saddle, and move forward. It's kind of like all of you have learned how to ride a bike, I'm sure. And I remember my mother wouldn't let me have training wheels. I was like, well, why can't I have training wheels? And she's like, because if I give you training wheels, then you'll rely on that safety. And I want you to learn how in life sometimes you have to fall down and scrape your knees and scrape your elbows. And then you're going to clean your wounds off and you're going to get up and you're going to move forward. And she goes, this isn't about the training wheels, it's about you pushing forward in your life. And so it's one of those things where, I mean, fear is an okay thing. I mean, trust me when I tell you, when I quit my job at HSBC in 2004 to go work for a mortgage company and manage a mortgage company, I was terrified. And then I've had that leap of faith many, many, many times. And sometimes I it's not been that great.
Yes.
And sometimes it's been completely amazing. But when I die, I'm going to look back at my life and I'm going to say I lived. And I may not have the Rolls Royce or the Cadillac or any of that kind of stuff, but I will say that I've lived. And that's who cares about all the rest of the stuff. I can't take it with me. So,
Right. I think that's the biggest. If there's anything that I could say that I feel has been stolen from this Gen Z, I think it is, and millennials, is the joy of living. Technology is beautiful and technology is wonderful and technology has helped us tremendously. It has hurt us tremendously as well, though, because we've gotten so wrapped up in the virtual and in the meta that we've lost sight of the physical, which is what we actually came here to interact with.
mhm,
We're a spiritual being or an energetic being having a human experience, not a virtual human experience, not an experience in Zuckerberg's metaverse, not an experience on Insta and TikTok and living through 7-second videos. But life is meant to be lived.
I know I don't follow the rules. I do like 2-minute videos on TikTok.
Do you? I don't do any more than 60 seconds. I
Oh
get,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
but I'm
Because
over
I can't.
here, so I can be out here for hours at a time.
I don't talk too much, so I can't. I just can't do it. It's
Yeah.
just one of those things. But
But do you
yeah.
understand what I'm saying? And and
Mhm.
and I think that's the interesting dichotomy here is I don't know about you, but as we've been going through this over the years, I'm sure you've come across a lot of like newly awakened or they've been awakened for a while. And this is kind of why light workers get a bad name because their head's all the way up here in the clouds and everything's love and light. And there's never any, like, their feet never touch the freaking ground. You guys, I'm going to wait a little bit, then I'll cuss. But the feet never touch the freaking ground. And so there's no sense of like the human 3D world that we all came here to experience. This is a very interesting to me because it's like these guys, they're in this virtual world. And then in the virtual world or in the real world, there was a virus
Mhm.
that thrust them in further into the virtual world. And now it's like they're not sure and they're almost afraid. Like there's a significant issue with the
And
mental
I had
health.
and I had to tell them this, but that's life being unsure. I mean, like you and I met what 3 months ago, 4 months ago, something
Yeah,
like
about
that.
3 months ago now.
Yeah, and we met each other. We felt it, but did we know everything that was going to come of us talking that first time?
No.
No, but we took the leap to get to know each other. And then we chatted. I was telling you about some things I was working on, and now that's evolved into a larger project. And we were working on it quite a bit. And so, but here's the thing: it's like nothing happens in life. Like you're always going to have uncertainty. It's never going to go away.
Yeah.
It-
Right.
it's going to be one of those things where, and guess what? Like, here's the thing: when complacency comes along and you're bored and you feel like you're not feeling fulfilled in your life,
Yeah.
that's when the time that you probably need to take a leap of faith. And
Ooh.
so and I was pretty bored in my life. I mean, I've like making a good living and all that kind of stuff. And I was bored. I was sitting in corporate meetings and I was like glossy eyed. I was like, are we really arguing over this? I mean, this is my expression.
Yeah.
And so it's like one of those things where there's nothing wrong with any aspect of any type of career. And but if it's boring to you, then maybe it's not the career, maybe it's the company or the job or whatever you're doing. If it doesn't make you feel fulfilled, then take a leap of faith. So yeah, of course you're going to be afraid. I mean, COVID. I mean, I still have people that are still haven't really left their house, and I'm
Yeah.
like, we're in 2023, and I'm like, hey, I hate to break it to you, um there's gonna be things that you're gonna get sick about. It's not even COVID. I mean, I'm a gay male, so I mean I've had to worry about certain viruses my entire life. And those are one of those things where Of course, you take precautions. Of course, you do the things that you're supposed to be doing, and you're not going to be flippant about it, but you still have to live.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Hey, Chocolate Earth, how are you? And hello, hear her TV, and hello, Ms. D. As people come in, I didn't
can
get a
you
chance to
please
speak.
give Gemini the microphone? I'm just
I
saying.
know she's really doing the most tonight.
I love her.
She just kind of lets me, but I haven't been live in almost 2 weeks.
My
Tomorrow
Rottweiler
would have
used
been
to.
2 weeks, so she's just like, I have not had my screen time.
My Rottweiler was the same thing. He used to just walk up right next to me, and people were like, "Hey, Max, what's going
Yeah.
on?" So
That's her. Her sister doesn't come on camera anymore, but she's definitely getting her camera time because she is. We've not been on. What I want to do, guys, I hope you guys have begun to find this interesting. And before we let Jeremy go to bed, because he
can somebody
doesn't
hop
know
back
us,
in?
we'll be up all night.
Well, that's totally fine. I just I went out to dinner and I had a couple glasses of wine a couple hours ago.
Oh, gotcha,
I
gotcha.
still got the wine in me.
Okay.
Jeremy's a
I'm gonna
lightweight.
I'm gonna allow some people to come up and talk because this really we do allow the panel to come up. Um, while I'm doing that, while I'm dropping the link, I'm actually going to play a quick video here. It's a quick ad, so don't y'all run away. Okay, it's a quick ad. Jeremy and I have worked on a wonderful project. For those of you all that are ready to take your business to the next level, so I want you to check this out and come to the masterclass. And I will drop the link and begin to get you guys up. All right, guys, hang on. Jeremy, I got a quick question for you. What are some of the greatest challenges you see with people with their coaching or other type of spirit-based online courses?
They're basically lecturing to them, teaching the way they learn, more of an auditory learner, but it doesn't work for everybody. One of the other issues is it's not engaging and it's not fun.
Now, digital marketing, what I see a lot of, it's the same stuff over and over again, or I don't really understand what their message is. I'm not sure who they're trying to help, what they can help me with, and what energy they're really putting out there. And they don't have a well-defined brand. They've been doing it for forever. It's not updated. And that drives me bananas. And then when they get like they can't like nurture them all the way through. And then what about closing?
One of the biggest things that kills somebody from closing is they didn't build enough discovery, and then they put them with the wrong product or they pitch the wrong solution, and then you lose out because you didn't spend enough time culturing the relationship. People buy on emotions and trust.
Be sure to register today for the High Vibe Business Master Class, October 29th from 1 to 4 p.m. Eastern. You can go to www.highvibebizwithaz.net. That's www.highvibebizwithaz.net. All right, guys, I had to fix that. I was doing it in the rush. So, guys, highvibebiz.net, biz with a Z, and Melinda will be posting that in the chat. Sebastian, hello, my dear. This conversation, well, it was already going to happen, but I'm taking it in this direction because Sebastian, my good friend, reached out to me and wanted to have this discussion. So, thank you so much for joining the discussion tonight, Sebastian.
No problem. No problem. Hi, everyone. How are you guys?
Hi, Sebastian. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Good. Can't complain.
So,
I'm
Sebastian,
yeah.
talk to us about what's going on with your generation.
Okay. So I'm part of Gen Z, and a lot of us have been panicking. We're having more panic attacks than normal. We're having more heart. Can I say the word? Can I say the word?
Yeah, I mean,
We're having
that's
more heart issues as well. We're having a lot of things with substance issues as well. We're getting very addicted to so many things so quickly. Just the 2 years, a year and a half of online schooling has done a lot to us. Has done a lot. Some people actually would have preferred to stay online because now, for all of a sudden, they have issues when they go back into the public. Like currently, I have a friend of mine. He's having issues being sitting down in a classroom.
Mm.
So,
lecture hall, not classroom.
let's now I kind of understand even more what we were talking about, Lisa and Sebastian. What I would say to you is that your generation and the millennials, we knew even before you were born, and we were talking about this 20, 30, 25, 30 years ago, that you all were going to come in more energetically sensitive than the rest of us.
Mhm.
I was what was called an early indigo coming in the mid 70s. What that means is that you came in more how with a stronger empathy for people. So when you guys were in the homes on Zoom taking classes, then you went into a lecture hall. Now you got all these people and all their energy around you, and you've gotten used to not having all that energy overload, I guess is the way to put it. So one of the things you can do is you can start to breathe very deeply into your essence. So, in other words, you breathe in and you send it back out through the heart to your compassion. You basically say, I'm transmuting all this caca, so to speak. And then you're sending it back with love. So, you're not sending it back with, give me your bullshit, take your bullshit back. You're sending it back with where you're saying, hey, I'm not going to let this affect me, so to speak. And then some other esoteric teachers will tell you to put shields up or wear some type of crystals or whatever. That I don't necessarily think that's the case, because I used to have something similar. I would go to concerts with mosh pits or go into malls, and I'd feel like somebody was taking their hand and putting it around my throat, and feel
Mhm.
like I was strangling. Somebody was strangling. It's because the energy was so strong for me. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Yeah, I think it does make sense. It does make sense because I have a friend of mine, this same friend who's having these issues. He currently he can't comprehend anything with he's having issues focusing now. He's never had that. This is someone who was a straight A student.
Mhm.
Never had those issues at all in high school. But after the pandemic, it's all gone. He's having issues whenever he's walking and he sees people laughing, he automatically thinks they're laughing at him. So it's just completely weird and insane how dramatic the lockdowns have caused us to become.
Yeah.
I feel like it was such an attack on the, well, I'll just say collective crown chakra. And by that I mean for some of us, that that solitude, those of us who are already used to being semi-hermits, that was the big running joke for me. I was like, I really didn't notice any difference other than the fact I couldn't go to Walmart in the middle of the night because I
Mhm.
was already pretty much a shut-in, just because of going through this awakening process, working from home already, starting my business from home, digitally, completely online. I wasn't out. So it wasn't that big of a deal. So for a lot of us that had experienced that already or were experiencing it, this was like, cool. Nobody's going to invade my bubble. Everybody's going to stay 6 feet away. Nobody's going to run up a cart up my ankle, and
It was an introvert's dream.
it was. And then I had every excuse not to go to the family functions I didn't want to go to anyway.
I'm so introverted. I'm very introverted as
Yes.
well. So it didn't really have that big of an effect on me. But
Yes.
the friends I have who were extroverted, because
Yes.
they are currently they're not
Yes.
themselves. They're not themselves at all.
Yes.
Well, could it be this too? Because I'm very extroverted, and so through the pandemic, I've gotten a lot more. Also, introvert and extrovert means, introvert means I recharge by being by myself. Extrovert means I recharge by being around people.
Yes.
So, but I spent most. Remember, I said I was getting lonely in the beginning, so I spent a lot of my time in the beginning learning how to be okay with being by myself. And so I'm used to standing up on stage with 1,000 people in front of me, and I feed off of all that energy. And so, but now I'm like, I'm okay. I spent the whole day working at home, working on projects, just relaxing and being quiet until I went out later on before I came on the show. And then even I was by myself at a restaurant. And so it's one of those things where I think the extroverted people are starting to learn how to go within. And so, but the problem is now they haven't learned to have the skills to go out and interact, because we still have to have those. We have to have a balance. So even Lisa has to get out and come down to Florida and go to a party with me on Saturday. So I'm just kidding.
No, he's not. No, he's not. I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to do that. So, yes, it was destabilizing for the externally focused person, but I don't want us to be flippant about that.
No, yeah.
Because again, I'm not saying you are at all. I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just saying, when I said it was such an assault on the collective crown chakra, it's as if the antenna or the signal from above or without, however you want to put it, there was interference in that signal because there was so much, we're going to lock you down. You're going to be completely shut away. Can't talk to anybody. Can't do this. Can't do that. You're afraid to breathe because God knows what you might breathe in. You're afraid to do this. You can't do this unless you do this. You can't come outside unless you can do this. You can't work unless you do this. We're not
And
going to tell you.
the only thing you have is arguing on social media.
Exactly.
Right. Right. That's all. And and because of everything as it was, the argument was heightened 50 million %. We had the lockdowns, then we had a very highly contested or volatile election. Then we go to things like Afghanistan and the economy, and now Ukraine, and all the while now we're dealing with, you know, what
Possibly
did
going into a nuclear war.
right. What did we know about specific drugs that were being introduced? What did we really know about the virus as it was? What are we now finding out? There's just all this absolute uncertainty, and the public square conversation got shut down. You
Dr.
can't
Lisa,
say the things you want to say, right, wrong, or indifferent. So now your throat chakra has been shut
Shut
down.
down.
Your solar plexus chakra, you're powerless because you can't go out. You can't do this. You can't do
Can't
that.
connect. Yeah.
Your
Do
root
you?
chakra is unstable because maybe you lost your job, or it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, this was a full on assault.
Well, and let's back up, because you remember. I was just talking about this earlier today. Do you remember, Lisa? And I think you and I are about the same age. Um, do you remember back in the '80s, early '80s, the Walter Mondale Reagan election?
Yes, I
Not to get
do.
too overly political, but I'm from Minnesota, so everybody from Minnesota wanted Walter Mondale and Geraldine Ferrara to win the presidency.
Of
But
course.
what I do remember, and some people might be too young to remember this, but what I do remember is that even if we had opposing opinions, we had discussions. We didn't call each other names. We didn't put each other down. We might say, I don't agree with you. This is what I believe. But this energetically, when you're talking about with the different chakras, um, and this is one of those things where you your crown chakra, your connection to source is cut off. Your power, which is your throat, your connection to other people, and more importantly, your heart. You're not able to experience those. And how do you actually grow those lessons of those energetic chakras? By experience and
Yes.
actually going through it. And so now you're sitting in your house. And well, what I will say to everybody though is now is an opportunity. Now is an opportunity to start getting out there. So our original question is about the people that are afraid to go out, and they're really get out there, experience. And yeah, you're going to get offended, you're going to get hurt. Go home every day, process your day. I'm tired of the
yeah,
word meditation. I want to say get out there and just process your day and just
Yeah.
breathe and start looking at it and start saying, where were my opportunities for this day to stay at center? meaning balanced my energy.
Yeah.
and so um and so what you do is you just start looking through all that. And I mean, like, I've had plenty of opportunities, in the last 4 or 5 months, even in the last week, in those in the where you just have an opportunity to stay centered. So
Yes.
yeah, I know you're bringing other people on the panel,
It
but
is. Yeah. I won't keep you too long if you don't want to stay. That's totally cool.
no, you're
I
fine.
didn't know how
It's
far
only
we're
it's
going.
only 9:49 here. I mean, I know
Hey,
you're like way
I,
over on Pacific
I,
time.
I'm honoring my guest.
I
So
know you're there in cheese country.
I'm just an hour behind. Trust me. I'm all right. Well, welcome to the platform, Chocolate Earth. Hello, sister. How are you?
Hey, Chocolate Earth.
Hey, can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, okay, perfect. Hello. Hi, how y'all doing? Nice to meet you, Jeremy. I
Nice to meet you.
apologize. I'm not looking jazzy. And hello, Sebastian. I
Hello.
love the conversation. I love that you're having it because I do believe that there was a shift. That's what I feel has happened. There
Mhm.
was a shift. And then to your earlier, you see that as generationally, you have a young man saying, hey, I just hear lack of community. We've like, not to play that up, but I mean, in all sincerity, it's like there used to be places to go. There used to be, you had the ability to be around other people that were going through that. And so we thought, okay, do it through the internet. That works as well. But I think what we learned was we do need each other
Yes.
and we don't do anything alone. So yeah, I just think this is awesome.
No, I totally agree with you. I mean, back in the day, you would go, even churches have shut down. I have a metaphysical
Right.
church where they were like, they wanted me to speak on Zoom. I'm like,
That's
why
what
don't I just,
yeah. And see,
yeah,
that's a lot for people. The community, when we say that word, the majority of the time it's around our particular tribe, whether
Yep.
it's religious or whether it's a knitting group or you're into music. And I think because we haven't continued to define that, I think now we can see with like all six generations living at one time now
yeah,
that
Yes.
look at the damage that has been done, and there is a mirror there that says there's work to be done, and
yeah,
it's okay to help each other again. And that's
yeah.
that spiritually as well. That connection is there. That's all I wanted to say. My 2 cents.
No, and you're right on. I feel like you're completely right on. One of the things that I've been saying for years is let's find common ground.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, culturally we might be different, religiously we might be different, but internally, I can guarantee you we're very similar. You know,
Oh yeah,
we all want love. We all want our children to have a better life
right.
than what we've had. We all want a connection to something bigger than our own physical lives. And really, when we come down to that, we're all arguing about words.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
my gosh, can I just tell y'all that my sister and I were just having this conversation earlier. I'm a political junkie. So I've been
Mhm.
following, all the different things going on across the country. And we came to the conclusion. I said, I don't know why anybody just want to come on back out and say it. Words do matter.
Mhm. They
All
do.
that sticks and stones hurt your bones. That's it. That to me is delusional because
Mhm.
words matter, and at this time in such a shift in all this going on, you should think about what you say to people because you never know where
Absolutely.
they are in their life.
Yeah,
I just
I
love the
agree with you.
topic.
No, and I agree with you. Well, you think about like the smallest little things. One of my favorite shows out there on Netflix is called 13 Reasons Why.
I
And
love
because
that
it,
show.
yeah, Sebastian, because it touches on some things that I was 6 foot tall when I was 12 years old. And I was picked on because of my religious beliefs that my parents had, but also because I was 6 foot tall. And then I was called every name in the book because my lifestyle as I got older. And so I just realized, I mean, yeah, sticks and stones may break my bones, all that kind of stuff, but it does hurt. And there's one of those things where and people don't realize kids obviously are kids and they do a lot of mean things, but adults, like, it blows my mind away when I see adults, instead of just saying, I don't agree with what you're doing and let's talk about it. Instead, they call you names, they put you down, all that other kind of stuff. And I'm like, where did we stop being adults? You know,
I don't
and
I don't think we were ever adults, to be honest. And I guess this is coming from a education standpoint of working and teaching adults and children.
yeah,
It's very true. How a child acts is usually, we just get larger. And now if we develop our brain as through 25, we get bigger, but what are we putting in there to
sure.
help us cope with what we have to deal with? And I know kids can be mean, but
hmm
we also know that a lot of that is whatever is going on at home.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's
Absolutely.
never addressed. That's never addressed. Those things matter. I remember being 9 years old and my best friend was being mean to me, and then we wasn't friends for a week. Those kind of things
I
impact.
remember those days too.
But you
Right,
learn.
right,
And
right.
this is the thing. And at some point, I think when I was coming up, and probably with Jeremy, is when they kind of first started saying, the teacher during parent teacher conference would let your parents know your friend count in the class. And I'll never forget my dad saying to these teachers, I don't send my child to school to make friends with everybody. Are you friends with all the teachers in this school? As a matter of fact, I know you're not, because I heard that you and this other whatever. He knew the gossip. Don't ask why my daddy knew it, but he did. So, but he would tell them, that's not why I send my child. I send her here to be educated. So she chooses to not like anybody in this class. I really don't care. Like, let her be her. And
Right.
it is what it is. But Jeremy, to your point, you and I have seen the advent of everybody gets a trophy. The participation awards.
Yeah.
Everybody gets awarded no matter what.
Yeah, it doesn't build you up to be an adult. Like, one of the things I've told people years, I was a civil rights activist in my 20s, and one of the things I used to say at Equality Florida in the meetings, I said, people have the right to not like us. They do not have the right to be disrespectful and harmful to us, though.
Correct.
That's it.
So, freedom of speech doesn't include you shoving somebody or chasing them down and scaring the crap out of them, or killing them or hurting them or abusing them. Like,
Correct.
that's not the same thing. People think they have the right to do that, and they
Or
don't.
inciting someone to do so. But I will always defend someone's right to disagree.
Yeah, I do too.
I've defended the rights for the KKK to march on and have whatever rallies on my college campus.
But they don't have the right to burn crosses in your yard.
Exactly. You have the right to assemble. That is a constitutional right.
It is.
You just like I have the right to assemble. So do you. Because I said way back then, we're going down a slippery slope when we decide what speech can and cannot be stated, as much as I may or may not like it.
Can I say something?
And I think that's part of what's happened here after these last 2 years, because
Yes.
that's been on steroids.
Yep. Can I say something about
Absolutely,
of course.
please do.
the speech issues and stuff? I was reading this thing how, I can't say that word on YouTube, but
Yeah, I don't think YouTube is censored, by the way.
Oh, no, not at all.
You just can't say the C word and say it was fake. I'm just kidding.
Oh,
I can't say the C word. Okay, it's not the C word. It's something else.
I'm just being a jerk.
It's okay. Let me just say this.
Remember, this ain't Jeremy's channel. Be careful what you say, Sebastian. You know what you can and can't say. You
Okay.
trained.
Okay, the German.
She'll smack me later.
Okay,
I'm weak.
the
I'm
bad.
weak.
Okay, so Germany is actually going through something that is. There's a slow rise of the bad Germans that were here a couple years
The
ago.
ends.
The ends. They're
Gotcha.
starting to rise again,
Yeah.
and this is the fault of the German government that the factors are rising. The German government did not want that word to ever be said. Like, if you say that word, You could
Yes,
be arrested in Germany.
absolutely.
You
Yeah.
could be arrested you could be arrested, you could be charged
Yeah,
and
that's
everything.
true.
And the only thing is they don't really like teaching about the history, but they do some like school trips to the camps. That's what they do.
Mm.
But
That's gotta be some
currently,
scary stuff. That energy is probably.
there's actually a rise of this ideology again. And I have a theory. When you start canceling people because of what they say, you make the public go look at these people, and then they start listening in more, and these people know how to like manipulate your thoughts and gaslight you into believing into their thoughts. So like then they gain more people on their side, and I feel like that's what has happened, which is why Germany's moving in that way.
Excuse me.
Can I jump in? I'm sorry, Sebastian. Were you done?
I'm done. You go.
No, rush. Because I wanted to add to what you were saying about how the government is changing, and I just wanted to throw this part in there too to go with your theory. I believe that when we look at power and structure and we look at communication between human beings, this has been going on for centuries. Being canceled or being put on the chopping block, or 1 minute it's okay and the next minute it's not okay. Human beings are fragile by nature. And then in our American society and a lot of the um, more patriarchal countries, it's to follow. We're taught that in school, to resonate with the one with the most power. So you're always going to have people that want to support. And my favorite line, and I can't remember the movie, but I love this movie. And sometimes people just want to see the world burn. And so I think now is the time that, if anything, we have to build a community of strength around the people who are trying to make it, because it's really intense.
Well, and I agree with you. If we think about the definition, though, like if we want to bring the circle with this back around here to post-traumatic stress disorder, right? So that we're kind of colloquially saying that there's a global PTSD that's been actually here for a long time.
Oh yeah.
I, for me, what I see that's amplified over the last 2 years, that's always been going on. It's just now some of us even see it to a greater degree. There's always been the gaslight. So the gag is you're being gaslit on every front.
Mhm.
And that group never went away.
Mm-mm.
And in
No.
fact, that group is prevalent in a certain country that just got invaded recently.
Oh, Lisa.
I just said that now. That's all I said.
Okay. Okay.
That's all I said now. Now that's true.
It's very prevalent.
Facts are facts. I can't help it.
Wait, the last time you said something, I said something controversial. You pulled out your fan. I'm just saying, your fan is not out right now.
Where's the
You
fan?
need
Where's
you
the
need a
fan?
fan yourself right now. I'm just saying.
It's true. But my point is this though, is I think part of the problem with Gen Z and younger millennials, especially, is they haven't they have grown up under the gaslight.
Mm-hmm.
That's all that they've been is gaslit the whole time.
Well,
And it's not and very protected. I cannot sit here and say I didn't try to protect my children.
mhm.
I have 3 millennials.
And you have Gen Z kids too. You have
Do I
grandkids
have
who are
a
Gen
Gen
Z.
Z?
I'm so sorry, Lisa.
29. Is she a Gen Z?
No, she's not a Gen Z. That's a millennial.
She's, yeah. So I don't have any Gen Zs, not children. I don't know
That's
if
my
my little,
brother. Yeah, that's my
okay,
brother. He's a Gen Z.
okay. So we've done a lot to protect and provide. Uh, at least I think we did. Maybe as a Gen Xer, I'm being a little whatever. We did the best we could, what we knew how to do, but we was out here working and busting our butt, trying to provide a
I,
different life.
let me give you a high five on that, because me being for Generation X as well, I am with you completely. And my sister's a millennial, and we grew up under technology. I started working with computers in '95, so I got to see that progression, and then I also saw Gen X parents shoving tablets and millennial parents shoving tablets and computers in front of their kids, and that's the new babysitter. It went
Yes,
from the television
to the
to the
tablet,
tablet. Hmm.
the television to the TikTok, but which you better not be letting your children on TikTok anyway. Um, but my point is that because of that too, though, the gaslight was on from the very beginning.
Yes, it was.
There was never a moment. At least we grew up in a time period where there was still newspaper, television, radio. I guess not saying they weren't lying to us,
Oh, they
but for
were.
some weird reason, the lie was a little different, or we just,
Well, social media made it more prevalent.
yeah,
And so, and then on social media, unlike NBC, CBS, Fox, and all them, that's all programmed, as opposed to all of us get to go on social media and talk about our opinions on live streams, and we can become influencers and stuff like that. So there's all these different opinions, thousands and thousands of opinions. And I'm not gonna say, because I'm a blogger and a YouTuber myself, and it's just one of those things. And do I talk about my opinion? Absolutely, I do. But it's one of those things where we didn't have that opportunity 20 years ago.
no,
So,
and we had to take what they told us was the truth.
right. Yeah.
That's
So
it.
whatever they told us was the truth. Because I'm shocked at what they're teaching now in history. I'm like, that ain't the way it was taught. What are you talking about?
What do you mean
What
by
is
that?
this mess?
What do you mean they're teaching in history? Like, what do you mean by that?
Or they're not teaching in history. It's just kind of weird. Um, I don't even know how to describe it. It's just like these weird slants on. It's these weird, very weird slants on the truth.
Yes. Yeah.
So
I
I
Yes.
understand what you're
always
saying. Yeah.
knew, I always knew that, let's just say that there were some from the African continent that sold slaves to Europeans. Now, though, they won't tell that side of the story.
They won't. The thing is,
It's as if that didn't even
And the thing
exist.
is why? Why won't we talk about in human history, we've all human history has been nasty. It's had some wonderful things, but it's also had some horrible things, and we learn from our mistakes and our atrocities. And so, like, I know that a lot of people don't want to talk about even the Holocaust and stuff like that. I'm like, but no, I don't. It breaks my heart to talk about it, but it's one of those things where I need to know about what my planet has done, so to speak, in history, so that I can be a part of it not happening again. And that's one of those things. If it's not taught to us, then we can't learn from it.
Then you can't learn from it. Tawana says, that her son says they're not calling it slaves, but workers.
No, they were
How does
slaves.
that help anything?
If you're owned by another individual, although modern day slavery is we're in debt to creditors.
Now maybe so there might be some.
Okay.
You know
Okay,
what,
Jeremy. Okay.
maybe that's not so wrong.
But I think we should call it what it is. We human beings purchased other human beings, and
Yes,
maybe some people were nicer than others, but it's wrong. And that's all we
yes.
have to know
it
is it's
is
wrong to
wrong.
own another person.
And the other
And
thing is, they don't want to talk about the selling thing, but like I feel like that's very important because there was a time where human beings, like there were tribes in Africa. Some tribes were enemies, some were allies. So in order to make sure that their tribe was protected and never sold or anything, they obviously sold their enemy tribes. They sold the tribes that they fought with.
We just got to call it
Well,
things name.
we were selling our daughters off too to be
Sure were.
married to other men. I just got done watching this show on not on Netflix, on Prime, called Marvelous Miss Maisel. If you ever get a chance to watch it, it's freaking hysterical.
Mhm.
But what it's all about is, in that era, about how we arranged marriages, and in this case, in this culture, they had to be other Jews had to marry other Jews, otherwise your parents would be disappointed with you. I'm like, I'm sorry, parent. What I do with my life is none of your damn business. And
But
so
it was because
but
women
what
were
done, yeah,
women were property.
right, they were, and that's another form of slavery.
Right.
And then like there's a point where she actually gets up and she goes and puts makeup on and makes sure her hair is all perfect for her husband when he wakes up. He never asked her to do that, but that's what she was taught by her mother.
Right.
And later on, when he leaves her, she's completely heartbroken because she thinks she's doing all the right things.
She
They
did
became
everything.
better friends after their divorce in the show
Yeah.
because they were being real with each other. And
Yeah.
so, but that really happened. So the show is really touching on real issues. And it really comes down to, I think, our global post-traumatic stress topic is we're not being truthful
Yes.
about what's going on inside of us. You know, it
Yeah.
hurt my feelings when you did that. That wasn't okay when you said that. I go to this barber shop. I've been going to the same barber shop for the past 10 years. And I remember being in there, and there was this guy who was drunk off of, I mean, he didn't even know what he was saying, but he was saying a bunch of racial slurs, and all of us were like looking over at him. And finally, one of the barbers says, "You don't come up into my business and say that. You don't know me well enough to talk about that." But it was one of those things where I'm like, how does it he's not raised to know that he shouldn't say these things? And at the same time, as soon as somebody said something to him, he apologized and tried to make it right. But this is a grown man; he should have known. But I mean, just point is that if nobody would have said anything, he would have never had the opportunity to apologize and maybe try to change his life going forward. But I don't know. I just see that kind of stuff all the time, and nobody says anything. And I'm like, why don't
Yeah.
you say something?
I think there's that. And I think there's also, though, sometimes people can say things to you and it triggers you. And honestly, you should not need you. There really is no need to take offense to it.
I mean, this they should have taken offense to. Trust me.
Oh, no, I believe you. No, I believe you. I think what happens is sometimes in those situations, though, is
we're
if I
afraid of the
if I may,
uncomfortable, though.
culturally, other Caucasians might not want to say something to this Caucasian because they don't want to be seen in a certain light. And just like sometimes Black folks won't say something to another Black person because we're like, now you know you shouldn't have done that, and you know because it was wrong.
But in those experiences, you and I get, let's say I said something or you said something that offended me, at least we get to talk about it. And we get to
we're
work it out.
grown.
Like I had a man tell me years ago, I'm training a class, and he said to me, "I don't like you because you're gay, and I'm never going to like you, but I respect you." And I said that, I mean, I could have technically wrote him up or fired him, all that other kind of stuff for saying this. But when I actually sat down and talked, I said, well, what is that all about? You know, I wanted to know. And so when we sat and talked, he said that was his upbringing. He said, but the fact is that I respect you as a professional. And other than this conversation, I will never bring it up again. And I was like, well, thank you for your candor. I don't agree with you. But the same time is like, at least I knew where he stood. You know what I mean? And so,
No, that's true. Because yeah. I'd
I
rather
would
be
have gone
down
a
somewhere I
totally
know you
different
don't
way.
like me.
Yeah.
I'd rather be down stuff where I know you don't like me.
Actually, I'd
punch him in
rather
the face.
know, like, as a Black person, I would rather know that you're blatantly racist than someone who's just hiding it under their colors. Because I would know to stay away from you, or that's it. Like,
Yeah, I agree.
I would rather know if you're just blatantly racist than if you're just hiding it.
I
That's
hate
right.
liars. I hate liars more than anything. It drives me nuts.
Absolutely.
So,
Chocolate don't feel the same way. What you think? What you think, girl?
What? What?
Oh,
What
I
do I
thought you
think
was
about?
gonna say something
she
else.
said
I was great. I'm just playing. No, I'm just playing.
And
But
trust me, I wanted to punch him in the face, just so you know.
Oh no, you know what? I'm joking because depending on the situation, I worked in a predominantly persuasion group of people, which was fine. I had no problem with that. The reason I didn't have a problem with it was because, to your point earlier, it starts at home. It starts in your environment. Who's raising you? What do you see every day? What do you hear every day?
Yeah.
My mother was a stickler for, we weren't allowed to speak slang in the house. It was not, no. My father would make you, like, I used to write fast because I wanted to get done and be over with it. And I'm about 12, 13, middle school. I won the award and went to this event where it was me and another young lady. We went because we were outstanding students for that year. I was in like this hallway going to find the restroom, and this lady stops me and she goes, "Well, that's not the way you're supposed to go. Everybody that is serving is in the back." So,
No, she
me
didn't.
being me, yes, she did.
No,
Oh,
she didn't.
girl, listen.
No, she did not. No,
Yeah,
damn it, you
yeah.
did not do that. What'd you do?
And so, you don't have to hide your face. I promise. There's no record. I was a kid. Okay.
Did you pull up the fan? I wasn't looking at the screen there for a second.
But no, in all honesty, that the reason I'm going to put these two together is because I remember how I felt. My mother had prepared me for this. My father had prepared me for this. They were very militant, and they told me, I knew about code switching, and I was a little kid. And I knew that I had to, you carry on your shoulders, especially being raised like that, that your blackness and how you represent yourself reflects on your family. My parents used to say that all the time to me. And so I stood there and I smiled at her and I leaned back and I said, "Well, no, they're serving me an award and I'm looking for the bathroom. You could have bought her for a nickel." And I just walked on because I know in my head I was like Kill Bill karate chopping her, but that's not something you could do. And so then when in corporate training, and you guys are probably privy to this, there, as you go up the levels, there's not a lot of it's not a lot of diversity, let's say that.
Right.
And so the way I trained my class, I just went authentic self. Because during that time and shift in my adulthood and all the different instances of having to defend being who I am, whether it was defending being a woman, defending it being a plus size woman, the fact that I have melanin in my skin, there's a lot
Or
of
a lack
little
of
nuances.
melanin, depending upon where you
Right,
at.
exactly.
Tell the truth.
My parents had to be mixed. That's what I went through from elementary school to middle school. My mom was a beautiful cocoa brown. My father kind of was like a cedar, like he was like a tree color. I don't know. But my sister and I came out spooky, where we can look like powder wigs. Like we can get that light, but we also can tan. But it still doesn't matter. You still get the treatment.
Yeah.
But anyway, to wrap that all up, I understood that I had to carry all those hats no matter where I went in life outside of my home. And I think that was something that why I think Gen Xers and millennials eased up on their children, because there was a lot of pressure on us as Black children and white children, because we went to school, they was just as poor as we were. There was no difference, but we all had these expectations that were unreasonable if you really stop and think about it. And then you go to the next phase of it, where now not only do you have to wear your hat when you go outside, you got to wear these hats online too.
Yeah,
And
that's true. That's true.
Do you
it
think?
just is. Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, I was gonna say, do you think that part of this generational PTSD? I think we're finding, you know, this is PTSD from a long time, right?
Oh, no, it is. It is.
Very long time.
And it comes out differently for each person depending on the dynamics
Absolutely.
of their life. I coach a lot of people and do a lot of healing work, and I have one client. I'm not getting her name because I don't want to disclose all of her personal stuff, but she was raised Jehovah's Witness.
Oof.
So her entire dynamic, she has a
Yikes.
fear of demonic, being taken over by demons and all that
Oh
other kind
my
of stuff.
God.
But my life, I was raised by my mother, who was raised by her mother, who was from the Great Depression. So, she was born in the Great Depression. So, like, my entire dynamic is about safety and having enough for my. So, each person, depending on their culture and
Right.
where they came from, the dynamic they come from. And I was also born, my family were homesteaders in Fargo, in North Dakota. They owned a farm in North Dakota. So, Old McDonald, my last name is McDonald. Old McDonald had a farm is really me.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you. Nice.
So, and I got made fun of that. But I want to just throw out a question really quick because my mother used to teach me, and this is how I've lived my entire life. If I want to know something, even if it's a difficult question, because I have a love for getting to know people. And so I used to ask questions, even if I knew it was a hard question. And so, like, one of my friends, coworkers, her name was Cynthia, and I asked her, she had one of, I don't know if you remember, women used to have these hairs called the hurricane on top of their head. It
Mm-hmm.
was a weave on top of their head. Well,
Mm-hmm.
I asked her, I was 22 years old, and she still to this day laughs at me, and I'm 48, about this question. And I said, I don't understand. How do you get your hair that long? Like, how is it? Like, I mean, like, I don't understand. Is that all hairspray? And I don't get it. And she's like, she just grabbed my hand and she held my hand and she said, "No, baby, that's not my hair." I'm like, and you should have seen my face, my jaw drop. And I was like, "What do you mean that's not your hair? Like, how is that possible?"
Oh my gosh.
And
Yes.
she's like, because I said it, so I just, that's the way I've lived my entire life. I will ask questions, and if I think it's going to be slightly offensive, I'll say I'm not trying to be offensive. I really just want to know and
Yes.
understand. And so, and she just literally sat down with me and she's told me about how that's done. And and I was like, well, wait a second, how do you wash your hair? Like, I don't get it. She goes, well, my hair's different than yours. That's just all, it's just, I don't have to do that all the time. And I'm like, well, I wish I had hair like that because I hate washing my hair every day. But I mean, I think that if we could solve a lot of this global post-traumatic stress by us literally trying to find common ground and understand each other. And I don't know.
I
I just,
agree.
maybe we actually tried to have hard conversations, and
And
I
that's
don't
part of the
know.
problem, right? We can't have these hard conversations because everybody gets so, I'm just gonna say, everybody gets so butthurt that they can't
Yeah.
have oh, I'm so offended. Oh, I can't believe you asked me that. Oh, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
Oh, come on
No,
now,
that's
you
how
gotta,
we.
gotta stop.
That's how we grow.
I
That's how
want
we
to
grow.
deal with this. I want to deal with this, you guys. I've been sitting on these
Okay.
comments.
Yeah.
So Marie said, most people don't even know who they are, let alone what they're saying.
You got that right, Marie.
And she also said she asked a lady once this lady on the bus whether she was due, and she wasn't pregnant. Yeah. And then she says it's hard for me to fathom how people can even judge each other. Now, Marie, I love you. Marie's from Canada. Put that in there too. Because it's just because there's like the Canadian innocence.
Well, we all judge at some level.
We all do judge, yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for saying so because we do. We judge no matter what.
Yes, we do. Part of me, Marie, I understand that people don't know who they are, but I refuse to allow people to not know what they're saying. And this is why I won't jump down your throat. And I've worked very hard now to not get offended easily. It takes a lot because I just have come to a point where most of the stuff people say, I know they're saying it from a place of pain and or just pure ignorance. So I just let it go And we just deal with it until I find that it becomes malicious. But I know that on a base level, we know there's probably certain things we shouldn't say. We're just used to getting away with saying whatever we want to
Mm-hmm.
and no one checking us.
That's true.
It's kind of like I don't condone bad behavior. And this is no, I'm not saying anything against you. I'm the woman that the pregnant woman is acting completely crazy. And she could be 6, 7, 8. I don't care if she's 9 months pregnant. Oh, it's just her hormones. Girl, get it in check. Stop it. You know,
You're still an adult.
you're still an adult.
Mhm.
Just because you're bearing another life does not give you the right to act stupid.
This belly, I've had children in it for 22 years. And
I'm
I'm
gonna
still
pray
not
for you
acting
that
like
it comes out. I'm gonna pray for you.
Yes, my meat
That
baby
that
too.
the food.
I'm about
baby,
3
comes out.
months. I'm 3 months right now. So
you see I see a curry across the room, and I will eat that whole thing.
what? Give me some strawberry ice cream. I'm ready.
Right?
Let's go.
So, but my point is that just because you don't know who you are does not give you license to just say whatever. And now I'm gonna gently correct you, but I gotta believe there's gotta be something there that lets you know this probably ain't something you should say.
Well, I will agree with you at some point, and I agree with you. Adults are adults, and they should know better.
Mm.
And through ignorance, there's a lot of things like my Minnesota family says some outlandish stuff. I mean, I'm like, I sit there and I'm like, did they just freaking say that? And they're very conservative, and so I'm like, I don't have a problem with you being conservative, but like some of the things that come out of your mouth, I mean, like literally, you should know better. Um, Especially since I was raised by the same family, lineage, but my mother was a totally different human being, and raised me differently. Now, my father's side of the family, very open-minded, very, that kind of stuff. So it's one of those things where
That's interesting.
I had a gem that came with my mother. She was like, "You do not talk about anybody. You judge people based on who they are as a person and how they treat you, not on who they are, their culture, their skin color, their religion, or any of that kind of stuff." And she, because I said some stupid things when I was younger, and I got smacked across the face for saying them. Let's just say that, and it was because I was mimicking what my uncle said,
Sure.
and so, but a lot of that, like we were saying, comes from the household, or from, and so, but my mother didn't put up that crap out of me, and so, we have to grow up by somebody teaching us what is right and wrong to say, like you're saying, and learn how to understand and have some, how do I say it? I hate the word tolerance, by the way, because people say I want you to
Yeah,
you
I
need to
don't like
tolerate.
it.
I'm like, well, how about a little bit of empathy? Instead, you can still, at the end of the day,
And old
like,
fashioned respect. How about some
right,
respect?
like some of the things over the past 3 years that I've been seeing people get upset over social media, I'm like, I don't even care if you're right. Well, how about you have a little bit of empathy and some respect? It's like, I don't want to go bring up all the stuff, but like we can just, we could take any news story and there would be somebody flying off the handle about it.
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, but wait a second, there's somebody in this world that's hurting over that news story, and
Yep.
you're just out there saying that everybody's stupid and calling people names, and I'm like, you have no compassion or respect for the people that it's hurting. It doesn't
Absolutely.
matter if you're right or
Yeah.
wrong. So
Absolutely. And how about just letting each other live? When did
right.
that become a problem?
There you go. Well, you
When
know
did
what?
when did that become an issue?
It all depends from perspective. For us as people of color, and then you have your poor, and then we're separated by class. This feels constant for us. There is some freedoms, but when you say, like, I think the definition of adult really needs to be changed. Like that needs to be changed, because what I think happens are people are stuck in their trauma, right? Not to give anybody an excuse. What I mean is, whatever major thing happened to them, it put them in that place.
Yes, but baby,
It
we did it to each other. During the
hold on. No,
pandemic,
I got you.
during the
Okay,
pandemic,
go ahead.
especially, right? During the pandemic, we did it to each other as well, even within the culture.
Oh
If
yeah,
you
culturally.
dared to have a difference of opinion, even to this day right now, and you know this as
Right.
well as I do.
Especially
If
this day.
if I go somewhere and I say how I truly feel about some things,
You're not
I'm
allowed to do that.
vilified. My black card is taken.
Yup.
My woman card is taken. We ain't got no. We don't hear nothing else you got to say. You can't have an honest conversation with some people, right? So we've done it to each other,
Oh,
allowed
I
even
agree
the
with you.
men to be split as well.
I agree
Well,
with you. But I
yeah.
think that with that, the reason I brought up the classism is that it doesn't matter. I've seen how they gaslight other cultures. You can see it.
Yeah.
If how unfortunately you guys were talking about earlier how people learn things. Some people
Mhm.
are auditory, some people are hands-on, some people need that one-on-one assistance. And to your point, Hart, when you were talking about when and why can't we just live?
Yeah.
It's cliche, but the truth be told, just like in school, we got bullies. We got bullies and mean people and people with mean spirited ideas. And because if they didn't, these things would not continue to happen. What I think that hasn't happened is that us being people that are different or what they consider weird or we're not saying the same thing. Like for instance, I don't care. I'll tell people in a minute. I don't care nothing about OJ Simpson. Okay. I don't care about the tribe. I don't care nothing about it. I don't understand why we still are making this
She
man
went back to
relevant.
Like
she went back to
26 years ago.
she
Right? Like
retched
what
she retched back to OJ.
I
When did
did.
OJ get relevant again, girl? What are you talking
Listen,
about?
I'm serious. Well, see, because I be what excuse me, I get real hood, I get excited. But
Girl, this
Please
is
be
it's after
yourself.
9 o'clock.
oh, okay. So listen. No, I'm just playing. I what what I have learned over these past 3 years is that human beings have come to the point where they couldn't pretend the facade. Think about this. An everyday, what they call everyday here in America, people get up. The American dream is to, go to work. Your 2.5 kids. You know, this is supposed to be this. This is supposed to be that. And now you have people standing up here talking about men and women both, talking about going back to the 1950s.
Who?
Oh, it's a lot, unfortunately. And we have people in office and in positions of power who are making decisions off this. We have bullies in here. And the nice kids, we're going to have to get some armor. I'm just saying, it's time for us to take our nicety and like use your foot and kick them straight, in their
I,
backside and get them out the way.
I'm not sure who's talking about going back to the 1950s.
Um,
I mean, when you think about the fact that
Nothing.
how
um,
about Roe versus
Roe
Wade? And I
versus
leave.
Wade, I mean, and then even they're talking about repealing the Quality of Marriage Act and stuff like that. That
Yes,
would take us
they,
back
yeah.
at least to the
So
1980s.
Roe v.
Um,
Wade, can we be real? Was
Can I say
repealed.
something before you start, Lisa?
Oh, go ahead, baby. Go ahead now.
Okay. Roe v. Wade was never a right.
Whew. Oh Lord
I'm
Jesus.
going.
Now see, I wasn't gonna go there.
It was never a right.
But you're
Just
true. But you're right.
because states were already passing restrictive abortion laws prior to Roe v. Wade. And I find it funny how all of a sudden people are just like, oh my God, they overturn it. But like Ohio already had restrictive abortion laws before Roe v. Wade. Texas already had it. Oklahoma already had them. Georgia was on the verge of having them. A lot of these states already had restrictive laws regarding that procedure
And
before.
can I just add to that, Sebastian? You are correct. It was not that. However, and what I will say is that the locality, to your point, the nice people, we continue to be nice and just go along with things. some of us feel like we alone in the fight to try to spiritually awaken people. I find it interesting. Will idolize someone who brings nothing to us. When we discuss a conversation, like you were saying, can we have that conversation? Yes, it may not have been a law in a federal law, which it should have been. That's a totally other story. However, that Roe v. Wade affected a lot of women in poorer areas because those were the only ways you could get assistance. Going to one of the Planned Parenthoods or going to one of these particular places. It's not just about, you
Well, sis,
know,
I don't want to go down this because we discussed this, so we're gonna go down a whole nother path. Because
no,
I
I
feel
just
like
was,
that
I was just
very
at,
much
yes,
eugenics, it was placed
yes,
in our neighborhoods and in our culture to
I
kill us.
agree. But
So
I
was
agree with
birth
you.
control.
So a Roe v. Wade can go
But what
because
I'm
the whole
saying is
purpose
this.
for Roe v. Wade, the whole purpose for Roe v. Wade was to commit eugenics/genocide. The
I'm
whole
with you.
reason Roe v. Wade was repealed had nothing to do with going back to the 50s. It had everything to do with not enough white babies being born.
Oh
Sorry,
no, I
Jeremy,
agree
you
with
came
you.
in at the wrong time.
I agree with you.
Um, but
Another
That's
thing.
not
I don't
even.
care.
Well,
And that
listen.
might be
This
cold,
this
but
is
I
what I'm
don't
saying.
care.
It's not about so much as that. All of this can be right at the same time. It doesn't have to be a either or have to be. What I'm saying is that it then puts us all in a situation in the dismantling of things as we watch this take place. Ain't nobody talking to nobody about what do we do for those of us who are, we don't hate anyone. We're just trying to live comfortably, take care of our families, maybe get educated, go on some trips. I don't know. But as far as the general experience, that's gone. The painting of the picture that everything's going to be okay and we're going to have to get louder and make these changes so that we don't have these conversations of, well, wow, Roe v. Wade, nah, nah, nah. Yes, people are using it for the wrong
Well,
reasons,
well,
but here we are.
what I would say to you is that a lot of times what's happening is that they're throwing things out there as subjects that trigger us. So we're having a pretty decent dialogue here, but this doesn't happen with everybody else. Like I would love to talk to Christina about the Planned Parenthood being placed in a black neighborhood, in the first one in Brooklyn, New York. I would love to know more about that. But I'll give you an example. They get us all out there and they get us all occupied on this conversation, but we're not looking at other things that are going on in the world. And so,
Exactly.
like, I'll give you an example. I work with a group called Operation Underground Railroad, and it's basically saving children from human trafficking. And
Mhm.
and so,
Oh, wow,
um,
that's
and
amazing.
there, and there's we can all agree on one thing. I don't care if you're Democrat, Republican, what race you're from. We can all agree that children should not be kidnapped and put into situations they're being. And the FBI report says there's over 300,000 children every year going missing.
Oh, in America?
And in
Yes,
America,
Yes,
and the
yes,
people that are purchasing those children are American men and women.
yes, and
And
that
yes.
doesn't
so,
count the
and
ones
so
that are brought
that's
across the
a whole other
border.
conversation. So they get us all into this conversation about things. No doubt that there's a lot of conversation needed to happen, but one of the things I will say is that we're not in our hearts as meaning energetically on that level so that we can have these conversations. I mean, like, I've never ran across a person, well, I guess I take it back. I've ran across one person that thought the Operation Underground Railroad was a terrible thing, and I'm like, how can you, I don't even, I don't care who you are, saving children should be the priority, and human rights should be the priority no matter what they are. But they throw a lot of things out there for us to start arguing over. And
To
do I say that
distract it.
to distract us, and do I say that abortion should be illegal? No, I think that's up to a woman to decide. But if it was put out there as a way, um and a kind of more of a sinister reason on a higher level, then that's incorrect. For people to, I don't know what all the reasons are, but I'm just saying that I do believe a woman has the right to make a decision about her own body, but it shouldn't be put out there for a genocide type of situation either.
Right.
And
And
so,
I think my point is when when we start repeating the rhetoric and the propaganda,
Yeah.
and no offense, but to say that people are trying to send us back to the 50s is rhetoric, because that's not true.
Well, I have
And
to
but it's
go ahead.
not
Sorry.
it's not
The only
true.
reason
And
I say that, and yes, it is true,
how is it true?
because it is true because we
How is
are.
it true?
How is it true? What we have, I'll take for instance the laws that are being done in Arizona, right? The um, the inability to have any access. If something happens to you, the exceptions are being taken. If something happens to you, that you are now, you may be in trouble if you travel somewhere else to have an abortion. You may be in, there are laws now that are putting women on the chopping block if they have an abortion. Mississippi, one place. And if I remember, the last time this was like this was in between the 1950s and 60s. And the reason I use that as more of an analogy is that it's a more of an oppressive time in our history. And the things that are taking place right now and around us, and to you guys' point, yes, distractions. These are button words, especially we getting so close to midterms and these different things. They affect us, whether
Mhm.
indirectly or directly. They affect us, and I think to that's why they bring so many things into the fray. It's like whatever sticks, so that we argue over the things that really and truly are not going to make it break us. However, what kind of plan do we have to assist in giving someone feeling safe, or somebody to be able to say what they want to say, or anything like that? And I feel like we're all so separated, and we've allowed ideology to be the biggest divider when we know that there's so much stuff going on the ground. But to you guys' point, those conversations aren't had. I'm a community fanatic, and we don't have one.
Yeah, I understand
I,
that. And
Christina, I do know about that, about the eugenics and stuff like that. What I want to say, just a couple things on a spiritual level. You and I and all human beings, I don't care who they are, when we're in fear, we produce what is called loosh. I don't know if you've ever heard of this, Lisa.
no, I haven't.
So what that is that is nourishment on a esoteric level for the beings that feed off of that. You and I feed off of love and all that
Hmm.
other kind of stuff, and hugging and people, like we were talking about earlier. There is a guy out there that teaches about how these global people, or people that are getting us to pit each other against for money or whatever reasons, they get us to they get us into fear, and then we emanate this loosh, and then that literally feeds those types of people.
Hmm.
Instead of being off of love, they feed off of their sociopaths, really.
Yes.
And so they feed off of us getting upset, angry, fighting with each other. And it's come with the work like we're doing right now, and a like a Socratic dialogue where we're actually speaking to each other. And those are things that one of the reasons why a few years ago I felt in the beginning of the pandemic I was like in this ping pong energy, because my roommate was very, very, very like extreme conservative, and I'm more middle of the road. And then I had friends that were more on the liberal side and stuff like that. And I felt like I was being pulled in between. And on a spiritual level, I realized, wait a second, if I'm the middle path, so to speak, the yin and yang, if I can walk that middle path and be that center for people and mainly myself, then I can be an example to other people where we don't get caught up under this fear and stuff like that. So I agree with you, Chocolate Earth, that it feels like we're going back to the 50s. I don't know if that's necessarily true, because that's how some people, but I'll give you an example. I have a big trigger right now going on just in the little town I live in. I live just north of Tampa, Florida, and there is this thing going on where there's a drag show on Sundays at this restaurant, and there's about 100 picketers out there with signs calling everybody in the LGBT community pedophiles, like literally signs, and it makes me mad. But I think they have the right to protest, but they don't have the right to shove the drag queen down and literally rip their dress and hurt them And in Texas, they're chasing them down, parents with their kids leaving these shows. And those are things that's a big trigger for me. I mean, it's just one of those things. I'm tired of my community being attacked, which, I'm sure you guys can relate, but it's one of those things where I have to stay at center, because when I drive by there, I want to give them the bird and, rip their signs up and all that other kind of stuff. But that's not okay either. I don't want to, what is it my mother used to say, two wrongs don't make a right. And
Right.
I used to say, but they make them even. And she used to
They
just
sure
laugh
do.
at me.
I find it interesting though, and the reason why I say rhetoric is because of if you say to somebody, we're going back to the 50s, there's a lot more than just whether or not women had access to being able to get an abortion.
Oh, they were
That brings up Jim
doing
Crow. That brings up,
backroom.
right. That brings up pre-civil rights. That brings up a lot of different other emotions and triggers that are generationally within us, generationally. So that's what that brings up. That I would say is almost akin to, and I was damn near ran out of town because I said it was very wrong for us to allow others to come into our neighborhoods during the summer of love in the name of our lives mattering and burning our businesses down and killing our shop owners and killing our teenagers. So we want to talk about Black Wall Street being burned down, but we just allowed it to happen again.
Lisa, I love you. Okay,
And I'm just I gotta call a thing. Now,
Well,
do I believe protesting is absolutely, but we
the
talked about
violence
that
is not
earlier.
okay.
Peaceful protesting, right? Gathering together. We allow ourselves to get riled up and wrapped up into things so that we stay at odds with each other, as Jeremy said, and with others all around us, rather than coming together. Because if we had a good support system and a good community within, right, our community, we
Yeah, I think
wouldn't have the
even
need for, right? We wouldn't have this need. Like if we all took a little bit more responsibility for the procreation and what we did with our bodies and our families and made sure that mama and grandma and everybody was here to help take care of that child, we
yeah.
wouldn't have the same issues that we got.
Well, I think
That's not
even Malcolm X came because he was really big on violence in the beginning, and then he had a spiritual awakening, and then he came back, and he wasn't supporting
Ain't
that.
changed
And
it.
so,
Yeah.
Andrea, I love your hair. It's absolutely beautiful.
Thank
Hi,
you.
sweetheart. Thank you for your
Hi. I'm trying to
patience.
get my camera situation side. Y'all are touching on some things.
Oh, yes, we are.
Someday. Well, can I also say that our communities, we can be internally in our communities, we can be harder on ourselves.
Yeah.
Like I just saw this horrible thing on Twitter. I mean, I know the gay communities we're horrible with each other, but there was this young Black man that said he had flirted with another white male, and the white male was racist towards him, and
Mhm.
it was Black people that came forward and said that you should have known better to flirt with a white man and all that other kind of stuff. And I was like, that is the most horrible thing you can say to him right now. He's hurting and is expressing himself on social media, and his community is the one that's attacking him. And I was like, why? What?
Because they were looking at it as if they were trying to protect him.
Oh, is that the reason? Okay.
Absolutely,
Okay.
because they were like, you should have known better. Why are you trying to go over there? You know they
If you
don't like you over there.
fall down and break your neck, it's because you shouldn't have been horse playing.
Yeah,
Oh, that's true.
we were trying to protect you. And not for nothing, probably a lot of them have been rejected as well.
True.
All
Well, they're
of
speaking from their pain and their experience, I guess.
Exactly. So they're like, hey,
So,
I knew I got burned already. I'm not going back down there. I'm not
yeah,
going back down there.
So, if
Go
I
ahead, Miss
may say
Andrea.
that I
Yeah.
have
absolutely.
really, really enjoyed this conversation. I'm going to continue to enjoy. I'm just going to just couple things I heard. Everybody's perspective is beautiful. Saying just a few seconds ago, Jeremy, I witnessed something on TikTok today as well. Kind of saddened me a little bit, but I kept my mouth shut because, it's trending. Everybody in love, but it was a couple, two husbands, and I don't want to get you kicked off YouTube, so I won't say what the joke now.
Okay.
They were doing the dozens thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so husband was talking about his ancestry. He had done his DNA, and he was talking different things in his makeup, his marinade. And the black husband, every time say, oh, and it was a little bit of German, it was a little bit of this, and every time he would say something, the black husband would like, that's what's in the marinade. So that was the joke. So then at the end, the white husband was like, I can't believe he just said that. I can't believe it was in public areas, but whatever, not for public, whoever's watching. So anyway, the point is the video viral, and the follow-up video, they were saying how, like, that was the least, like, you wouldn't believe the dozens and how we, like, some of the things we say to each other, never be able to say that.
Absolutely.
And so I bring that up, what y'all are talking about. That's part, like, sometimes we get so caught up in having a right to be hurt. I got to turn myself off. And have whatever happens. Somebody said butthurt earlier. That's one of my favorite words. Listen,
Love that word too.
I can pull out like this. I got a laundry list of reasons to be butthurt, right? Some 20-year-old pain. Some I don't even remember, right? So we can spend all of our energy there if we want to. Our energy there, that's also more of what we attract and more of what we see.
Yeah.
Me personally, I do whatever I want to do. I go wherever I want to go. I live where I want to live. I bought the house how I want to date. I buy whatever. You're not going to keep me from it. I don't care who you are. Me out of this world. I'm going to stand on that. And I notice that when I'm walking more in that vibration, the repeat things that cause the PTSD, because while we're changing our lives spiritually and do all of this, we talk about, not going around the same people. That in a world of social media, we forget that the engine is a propaganda tool. So every day that we're on social media, back to the reinforcement of the things that caused us the PTSD. And we let this. And the reason I know this is because I'm 50 years old. My training is in broadcast journalism in the government. So I think if anybody knows about propaganda, I do. Okay. It's almost like they don't even talk about the words propaganda anymore. It's fake news. I think that just because it's social media and it's free and it's not a major corporation, everyday people like me and you to plant certain seeds and to keep up certain drama. Absolutely, this is a fact. Go watch the movie Social Dilemma, because the creators of the cells don't let their children use them, and this is why we're having all the issues. Open yourself up to more of the toxicity, the bullying, the hatred, the supremacy, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I just 100% on every, and I've never been one of those, it's just love and light. If you vibrate high and that's what you'll get. No, reality is
I'm so tired of hearing that.
some of us, never until recently. But B, it doesn't mean that you're not going to ever have any problems with people.
No.
It's not going to be all the time. And when you do,
Right.
you're going to have more energy without just flying off the handle and taking everything. Sometimes it really is. Sometimes the worst thing they could say to you is still a teaching opportunity. as big of a bone. It doesn't mean they're a lost cause all the time. And you'll never know that unless you exercise the will cautiously enough to walk in love enough to sift, oh, this person, and let me move on. This person, they're a tough shell, but they seem like they're helping them along a little bit. And then we go through, and that's when, and we don't worry about the ones we can't reach around in this world, feeling like they can do anything to us or keep any. Trust me when I say nieces, cousins, nephews, young ones, they can. That's all I have to say. That's my soapbox.
That was awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sister. Mr. Sebastian, is this helping at all? Are we helping? Are these old folks helping you at all?
Yes, they are.
Hey, speak for yourself. I'm 2 years away from 50. I'm not quite 50 yet.
That's all right. I'll claim old. I've been 50.
Although AARP started sending me my emails, and I'm like, and I was like, now I know. I used to pick on my mother because she would not do anything with the AARP card.
Yeah.
And I'm looking at it, I'm like, how dare you? What are you trying to say? I'm old? And I was like, oh wow, I guess I am almost 50 years old.
Another thing, guys, that's causing a lot of fear. Oh, Felisa, I'm gonna try to make sure I'm very quiet on your channel. The climate change.
We're not talking about climate change right now. Can we just no? We're gonna go to a different conversation than climate change. Let's stick to the PTSD problem.
Well, it is causing PTSD. People are saying how like, oh, now they're scared. They're scared of that's why you got to become vegan.
We've been having that same conversation since I was 5. I'm not even kidding. I'm not trying to discredit it.
No,
I'm just saying there's a couple things that's been going on since I was like a kid. They were like, one of them is climate. And yes, we do need to pay attention to our planet. And yes, we need to be mindful of Mother Earth. And I'm not putting it down. But there are things like, one of the things that I live in Florida. So when I moved to Florida, I was like, don't move to Florida. There's a shelf of ice that's getting ready to fall off in Antarctica, and if that happens, Florida's going to be under. I mean, that's been going on since I was a kid. I'm like, I like my beaches. Hello.
Me too.
And so it's one of those things where I'm not moving back to Minnesota because I'm not putting up with those winters. And so, sorry, Lisa.
But, no, I'm trying to get out. I told you I tried to escape. It didn't work. They
I know
me
what you were
back
talking
into
about.
Alcatraz. They pulled me back into Alcatraz. I couldn't get out.
Alcatraz.
I didn't get parole.
You live in an area where you have plenty of cheese. You should just feel happy about that. I'm just sorry.
I eat cheese and drink wine.
Right.
Beer. It's beer.
And beer. So, I mean, there's a lot of other things. Like one of the things that has always been coming on is that my church always talked about how horrible the music was. The Beatles, all that other kind of stuff. Wait, my Wi-Fi is down. I'm on the phone, speaking too much truth, and y'all was talking too good over here. That does happen. Actually, I got kicked off of social media. I lost my Facebook.
Ooh.
And almost 10 years of pictures and 400 videos and access to about 26,000 contacts in 2020. Yeah, because I was talking about healing and empowering yourself, and you have the right to speak up through your heart and all that kind of stuff. And they didn't like that, so I don't really care. I'm going to not stop being like what was Andrea said is I'm going to be who I am and speak my truth, and that's the way it's going to be. So, right.
Absolutely. Wow, we've had a conversation. We've been on here 2 hours. I did not mean to keep my friend 2 hours.
Well, I know, but we got 3 hours coming up here in like a week and a half, right?
We do have 3 hours coming up in a week and a half. So we were going to do this Saturday, but we've moved it. I'm going to update the site, guys. We are actually teaching a masterclass together and calling it High Vibe Business Masterclass. So I'm so excited to be working alongside of Jeremy.
Yeah, it's going to be great because we're going to talk about, I'm going to talk about, how you can create an engaging course almost 25 years of corporate training. I'm going to teach people. I'm not going to go into all the science behind it because, I mean, some of it, but, it's just teach you how to build an engaging course. And then Lisa's going to talk about building your business and the social media and how to become an influencer, so to speak. And we're going to talk about sales and sales funnels and how to
Yes.
build all that. And so, because how we're going to win over this kind of stuff? By you winning in life,
Yes.
by you never giving up.
Yes.
I have dyslexia, so everybody said that I was
didn't
never
know
gonna. They said, he's not gonna be able to do some of the things, and but I also have something in me that when you tell me I can't do something, that's gonna piss me off, and I'm just gonna continue to do it until I figure it out.
That's why we
So
get along so well. Yes, absolutely. I can't stand it. Don't tell me I can't do something.
I hate
I'm
when
like, what do
people
you
tell me
mean?
that.
I'm like, or when people come to me and whine and say I don't know how to do that, I'm
Ooh.
like, girl, there's YouTube. I'm like, get on YouTube, the Udemy, do whatever. I learned a lot of the stuff that were like Restream and all that kind of stuff. I learned it by just teaching myself. So,
Yes.
so
And going to people that knew more, right?
yeah,
So it's not like I never took a master class because I have. We both invested a lot into our training.
awesome.
Sebastian, you're in med school, aren't you?
No, I'm pre-med. I'm not in
You're
med school yet.
okay. But you're still working your tail off.
Yeah.
Oh,
So he's gonna be Dr.
Sebastian
Shade
ain't
then.
really working.
I said yeah.
So when you become a doctor, are we gonna call you Dr. Shade? Is that what it's gonna be?
Oh yes,
I
because
love it.
I will be shading my patients. I will be shading them.
I love it. We're gonna get Sebastian to be a naturopath. That's what we're gonna do.
Oh
I
no, I don't think I
mean,
want to do that. No.
What? You don't want to be a naturopath?
No.
A holistic doctor?
I don't see myself doing it. Like,
Why wouldn't you?
I don't
I
know. It's
mean,
just it's not appealing to me.
give him 10 years of being a doctor, and then he'll be like, I'm tired of giving people pills, and then he'll be like, I want to be a
That have
holistic doctor.
horrific side effects.
Then I'll be like, Dr. Lisa, how do I become a
A
holistic
naturopath.
doctor?
Be like, I got that whole thing going on over there in Lightworker Academy. Come on, man.
I have a friend, Sebastian, who was a psychiatrist and went to medical school, worked 15 years as a psychiatrist, and then she's like, all I'm doing is every 5 minutes giving people medications. I'm not actually. She goes, I'm not against the medications, but like some of these people just need counseling.
Yes.
So,
Some of these people
Abs-
just need counseling.
Some just need counseling, and some of them, the natural remedies.
Could help them.
yeah.
Absolutely. How do you think we survived this long? Because of us medicine women. Thank you very
Well,
much.
and a lot of our allopathic type of medications came from holistic type
Sure
of
did.
remedies. So,
Yes,
Sure
you
did. So
Um,
I just want to say one thing. So guys, there will be a link for you guys if you want to not only attend but make money by selling tickets as well or getting your friends to come. It's just $44.44. But if you email me at admin@heartofinspiration.net, I will get you a link so that you can sign up as an affiliate and help Jeremy and I spread the word and begin to get more of us out here helping humanity, because that's really the way we're going to help heal PTSD on a global scale.
mhm.
Is people like us that are willing to allow people to be themselves, allow them to love themselves, help guide them, help them to become empowered, and help heal in our own way. But go ahead, Sebastian. I'm so sorry,
Lisa,
dear.
another thing is, people are not focusing on certain things that they are drinking, certain things that they are consuming. For example, marijuana.
Are you about to talk against it or for it? Because that's going to dictate whether you get dropped or.
Listen, Lisa, listen, listen.
Oh, I got the drop button. Hold on.
Okay,
Go ahead,
first of
baby. I'm gonna
all,
listen to you.
I don't mind it,
Mm-hmm.
but let's just say some of the fertilizers have cancer-causing substances that are using its weed growth.
are you talking about the way it's grown, especially the
Some,
medical marijuana? The medical
Not
stuff.
medical, just marijuana in general. The fertilizers, some of them have cancer-causing
Oh, I
chemicals.
understand. So you're saying, okay, I got you. Because like a lot of cannabis, if it's correctly grown, is actually helping reduce cancer in the body.
Correct.
That's
And
true.
so I get
But
what you're saying, but yes, we should stick away from a lot of crap in our food, especially with the chemicals
See,
they use to grow
Andrea,
it.
like that's the food in general.
that's your
Yeah.
food
So here
too.
we go. So this is why Chocolate Earth is here, and she's doing what she's doing, and she's allowing me to help her a little in the little bit of way that I can, because we will be growing food in a natural, organic
Yeah.
way through hydroponics, aeroponics. There's
And you need to
aquaponics.
you also
I've
have to
learned
be
all the-
careful. You have to also be careful about the organic stuff you buy at the organic store, because
Well,
organic
that's why
doesn't
we don't
mean
grow it.
yeah. So, but
So I don't know what's in it.
Sebastian, the brownies that I made on over the weekend, they were all made by organic stuffs, just so you know.
Aren't you in Florida? Is that even?
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. He's
Yeah,
grown.
yes, of course you could make organic stuff in Florida. It's called a hydroponic farm.
Oh, not organic. When you said brownies, I thought something else.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. That's you probably were thinking the same thing I was thinking. Just
Yeah.
fun brownies that I'm mailing to
brownies.
Lisa here in a couple days. I'm just
Fun
kidding.
brownies.
Fun brownies are legal in Florida.
Well, I didn't say they were legal.
Anything's legal if you don't get caught. Oops. No, I'm just kidding.
Well, I mean, our presidents are to make a lot of that legal anyway. So, if yeah, don't roll your eyes, girl. You know what?
I can't stand that man. I can't.
I don't
Stand
like him either. But if he makes it legal, I'll be like,
He
at least
can't make it legal.
He
The
needs
president
congressional.
himself cannot make it legal.
Well, listen,
like
if
these
the one
student
before
loans.
him can make executive decisions about everything, of course
Well,
he
and
can.
this one's doing that too as well,
Yeah.
which is why your cash is going away on December the 13th, and you're getting additional money.
Yeah.
But it's on this bar. Anyway, yes, round up. What he can do, this is what he can do, which would in effect make it legal. And I will ride out with him if he does this. It is in the same class as heroin, as far as on the.
I heard that. That's the stupidest thing I've ever heard.
So that's why when people get caught with lower levels of it, they'll even get. Well, that's the reasoning why they get more time than for other more harmful drugs.
Yeah.
So by changing its schedule, that's what it is. By changing its level on the schedule, will then bring it to a level whereby basically legal in a way, but if you get caught with it, it won't. It by federal standards should not incur the same amount of time.
Also, it should
And
probably be on the same level. I think they could change it to like the same levels as over-the-counter medication.
that's what they're trying to do.
Yeah.
That's
what
the
they're trying
only
to
way
do.
it would most likely not be.
That, and this is also correct. That's only federal. The state by state case. Now, I think it's at least half of the states marijuana is already legal.
Yeah, it's
In
legal
Texas,
here as far as medical use.
In Texas, it's medical use too.
Yeah.
You could get it
So-
just for diabetes too. That's how. Yeah.
Listen, it's good for diabetes. It takes the inflammation down. Anything that takes inflammation out of your body is good for your body.
Inflammation is a horrible thing.
It is a
Oh.
horrible thing. Also, by the way, guys, just so we all know, anything with high fructose, and you will be surprised, cut it out of your diet.
Yes, totally.
You will be surprised what has high fructose. I even went and I've had to make sure that I have had to look at my wheat bread, my oat bread. I think I want to say it's all Post cereals, all have high fructose in them. Every
What are
last one
post
of them.
cereals?
Post brand cereals like cold cereal over the counter.
Oh,
So
okay.
you have to look up a list of them.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly, to be honest with you, sugar in general, I mean, is
Use
because of the
honey. Use honey.
honey or or agave
Organic
nectar, or
honey or agave.
yeah. So
I abuse. Well, I personally don't know that cannabis can be abused. But
I mean, I
anyway,
guess if you're taking it so much that you're not getting your life done, like paying your bills, going to work, doing the things you're supposed to be doing in life, I mean, I guess it could be abused, yeah, in that
I
sense. Because
guess
there are people I know that are like that.
I would definitely not put it in the same. The whole reason that we're having these issues now is that it's in the same class as opiates, and it's not
That's
even
true.
close.
That's true. That's true. That's
It's
true.
not even close. I've taken all both of them, so I know. But yes, and gluten. So anything you could do to reduce the inflammation and mucus in your body will help your health. Okay, diabetes and a lot of these other things are high blood pressure, high cholesterol, are all as a result of inflammation and actually mucus,
Dr.
as
Lisa,
well
you're
as our
starting to
bodies not being in an alkaline state.
Dr. Lisa, you're starting to start like Dr. Sabi.
But it's
Doctor,
true.
Listen, I did that thing with Dr. Sabi. Lisa, I lost so much weight in 3 months. I was just skin and bones. Skin and bones.
Well, I'm
he's
not saying go that far.
turned into a twink.
Mm,
Uh,
Yes, that's how I
Recently,
was. Exactly. I was.
that's not a bad term, Lisa.
that's the only way I've ever heard it. It was one of
It's not a
the,
bad term.
It
okay.
was in the 80s. That was not a bad
So
term. Yeah,
that's when I was in high school and college. What do you expect me to think about that
girl,
word?
it's not. That was a galaxy far, far away.
3 decades.
It can be abused to induce a psycho.
E-
Shiny, I don't know what kind of cannabis y'all been getting hold to.
No, no, no. The issue is a lot of it's being laced with fentanyl.
That I knew about.
Okay,
Yes, yes, yes.
that
But that's
yes,
yes, yes, yes.
absolutely.
And then I will also say this, like things like like we were having this conversation the other day. They were talking about using magic mushrooms, and because and ketamine has now been
Psilocybins and stuff. Yeah.
ketamine has been legalized for helping people with PTSD and stuff like that. And people were talking about, oh, I've been doing that. It's like you should not be doing that, any type of ayahuasca or any of that kind of stuff, without a facilitator that knows what they're doing. Because you
Absolutely.
can go so far out energetically out of your body that you can't come back. You don't know how to come back in. And so get somebody, a shaman or somebody that's done that, that helps you
I've
with
been with
that.
someone who
Yeah.
got an ayahuasca. I've been with someone. I was just the surveyor. They were the ones who were journeying. And this person was down for like 6 hours. I was like,
Oh yeah.
damn.
You can be down for a while, but
For a long time.
you and like even like I used to do this thing called vibroacoustics, where you could put somebody in a chair and then they would they would literally go out of their body, and if you didn't know how to get them back in, you're like yeah, they need to come back eventually because we have this life here. So there's just a lot of things where people without experience go and try things. I know a friend that made ayahuasca or got all the stuff to put it together, the concoction to be able to take it, and it freaked him out. So, and I'm like, well, why were you doing that without a shaman? So,
I don't even like for people to do it, period. And I'll tell you why.
Very dangerous.
I've met maybe one person out of 20 that I've known personally that came back and they were better after doing ayahuasca. Most of the people that I know, and they went to like Peru or wherever, they went to South America or whatnot. Most of the people that I know, the level of shadow work and the quickness and the depth that puts you in,
you have to.
it's too fast. It's too much. It's
Well, you
too
have to.
harsh.
You can have a Kundalini, go Kundalini crazy. If
Yes.
anybody knows what that is, it's where you awaken too fast, and you should do a lot of your shadow work if you're going to be prepared for it. That's the problem. Our culture moves through too fast through things. Like in the 90s, I don't know if anybody knows, the Reiki, in order to be a Reiki master, was $10,000. And it
Yeah.
wasn't about
Yeah.
the money. It wasn't necessarily about the money, but the Reiki 1, you had to have at least a year before you did Reiki 2. and then at least 2 years before you did Reiki 3. And the reason for that is once you do those attunements, you take on that energy of how you're going to learn and grow in that frequency. But part of the issue with all that PTSD and stuff like that we have is we want to have everything now. We have certificates on the wall and everything else because it makes us feel like we're more valuable
Yeah.
as a result of that.
Yeah.
But I say to people now, because they're like, oh, I want to do this. I'm like, well, let me ask you a question. If somebody walked up to you and says, I'm a surgeon, and you say, oh, okay, great, and you needed this surgery done, they're like, I'm going to do your heart surgery on you, and they say, oh, yes, okay, how long? Heart surgeon. Oh, I have medical school, but I will be in 10 years. Are you going to let them operate on you? And everybody says no. I said, well, why would you let somebody energetically work on you that hasn't done the work? And why would you want to open yourself up? And then so ayahuasca, if you do it in psychedelics, if you do it without somebody knowing what they're doing, yes, or you haven't done your shadow work to prepare you for it, because there's a purging that you have to do in order to be able to actually have a successful journeying. So
Yeah, they tell you that. But then what happens is even these people that have done some of that work prior, there were still depths to places that they went. They were not prepared to go. And the people facilitating were like, well, this is where Mother Ayahuasca wanted to take you, and this, that, and the third, and the fourth. And I'm like, they came back not right. I'm sorry, they just came back not right. And now we're having to put them back together again in a way that we should not have had to do. I will, though, disagree a tad bit with you on the Reiki, because I think that we've made it so dependent upon the training and dependent upon the book and dependent upon the you got to do this, that.
Yeah, you and I've had this conversation before.
Yeah. Yeah. Without, we've made our spirit, our God, of none effect.
But the 90s weren't like that either. They weren't like you're stuck to this book. They were, but now I can become a Reiki Master off of Udemy. To be honest with you, I can do it off of YouTube now.
I know that. I think that's sick. I don't like that either, because there's no connection. So, yeah, you lose the connect. There's no.
Yeah.
The master doesn't even know. How can you call yourself a master? You don't even know who you're making. You have no idea. Like, they have no connection to you. That's just crazy.
True. Well, that's a whole other conversation.
Yeah, it is. Sorry. That's another get off my lawn conversation.
I mean, poor Sebastian wanted to talk about, foods we eat, and we just kind of cut him off.
He was talking about weed. That's what he wanted to talk about.
You want to talk about weed?
Alkaline, like to stabilize our body and stuff like that. We need to stop. Okay, this might get people offended in the chat. Oh God.
Nobody will get offended.
After a certain age, the human body cannot tolerate dairy anymore.
That's very true.
Can't even eat ice cream.
After you're no longer...
I shouldn't, but I do.
After 3 years old, the enzyme in your intestine, that I forgot what it's called, cannot tolerate dairy anymore. But you know what humans do? We just pop a pill of lactate and we just do it anyway. No. Don't do that.
That's what begins to create the mucus and all that in our bodies, actually. And it does other things. Increases stored fat and fat cells and other things like that.
Yes. Like, you're supposed to be moving towards more. I understand almond milk sometimes isn't that good, but it's a good alternative. But oat milk, try oat milk. Oat milk literally tastes just like regular milk. It's so weird.
It's so weird. I like almond milk better. Isn't that strange?
I like almond
milk better. I like almond milk better too.
Yeah. I use almond milk like with my creamer and stuff like that. So.
Yeah, me too. Another thing that's pretty good too as well.
Speak for yourself. Stop playing. We're gonna get ready to wrap it up soon here, dear. It's getting late.
It is getting late.
You need to
But
do another show and just call it the Dr. Shade Hour, Lisa. That would be great. You guys could talk about food. No, I think it's valuable information. I'm being silly, but I'm also thinking
no,
about
it is that we like to have this conversation. Well, Shiny, it may have been well known, but dear, like honestly, especially coming from the dairy state, are you kidding? What he just said is heresy.
I
Like,
mean, it is true. Like I didn't even notice it probably till about 5 years ago. I would drink milk, and next thing I know, I'd have bad indigestion. And then I'd be
yeah,
like, "What is this going on?" And somebody's like, "You're probably lactose intolerant." And then I'm like, "Well, I don't know about all that. I just know when I drink milk, about an hour later, I'm feeling terrible."
yeah,
And I love ice cream.
yeah.
And
Me
I
too.
absolutely cannot have McDonald's, Dairy Queen, or Culver's or any of that crap. If I'm gonna have ice cream, I have to have it from an
From the real
actual
shop.
a real chop, and so
Yeah,
and I can only do that maybe once in a while. Otherwise, you won't want to be in the same house as me.
I do like
So,
sherbet now, or like Italian ice,
sure,
or
we do.
sorbet.
Or
Sorbet.
you can get non-dairy ice cream too.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
You try like in Aldi they have a lot.
they do.
you said
They
Yeah.
do.
Aldi,
Yeah, Aldi.
my favorite store. I'm all about it. So,
Are you allergic to nuts?
only crazy people, but no, I'm not
Yeah,
allergic.
me too. No, I'm not allergic at all.
Meaning nut. No, I'm not allergic to nuts.
There's
So.
some cashew milk ice creams. They're pretty good.
I have to try that. Oh, that's
So,
right, Andrea. Hashtag living sugar free for 20 plus years. Folks defend sugar addictions like drugs.
I mean, to be honest with you,
That's so
it is
true.
like a drug. I mean, like my friend used because I didn't even know sugar's in your bread until like 10
Yes, it
years
is.
ago.
Yeah.
And I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? They're like, you're majorly addicted to sugar. I'm like, no, I don't need any ice cream or chocolate cakes. And they're like, no, it's in your freaking bread, and you love bread, and I
It's
love
in everything
so
almost.
so.
And yeah, it like we literally now my son gets on these. My son's a Gemini. He gets on these kicks. So this is the latest one. That high fructose out of here. Thanks. But so now I'm looking at everything in the store. I'm looking at all the labels. Like what's in here, and I'm shocked how much is in it. How much it's everywhere. That's right. It's even in condiments. So now we have fructose free. We found some ketchup that's fructose free.
You can make your own ketchup at home too.
I could, but that would require me being a little more domesticated than sometimes I want to be.
You have to get her out of her office for 5 seconds in order for her to do that. Just saying.
I
It
was,
takes
I
a
was,
very long time.
we
I
couldn't even get her to go to bed when she was sick last week.
no, that was hard. But I got out of my office for a while to cook Sunday dinner.
Yes, you
Everybody that
did.
showed up on I was on the YouTubes for a hot second. I made fried chicken and pinto beans and rice and cornbread.
You know what I love is smothered chicken. Oh my God,
Well, I haven't
that
done that in forever.
I told my mother the first time I ate it. I said, "Mom, if you were in front between me and that chicken, I would shove you down and knock you over to get to it." And
That's so mean.
she said, "You better not."
So mean. I haven't done smothered chicken in forever.
Oh, if you do it, I'm coming to it. I'll fly. I'll get on Allegiant
I'll
and fly
make
out there.
maybe I'll make some when I come out there.
Okay.
This is a PSA. If you have diabetes, stop taking equal sugar, sweet and low, and stevia.
Absolutely.
Please stop. Get yourself some honeycomb or honey, organic, most likely organic.
Tupelo.
Yes, do not take those because they have effects. They have very strong effects. Honey is a natural thing. It will not raise your blood sugar. It is a very much natural thing.
And it will help your immune system as well.
Yes, it will. Inflammation, especially.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't know how we went from PTSD to eating right, but everybody stop it. That's right. Yes, we're gonna have a healthy eating segment. Clearly, we need that. Okay, gang. I'm gonna let everybody get on out of here. Sebastian, you ain't started your darn thing yet.
I'm not starting one. I don't have that much time. I don't have time to do it.
You just gonna come around.
I'm
All
gonna
right,
come
that's fair
around. A
enough.
lot of people are telling me I should start one, and I'm like,
Are you
I
talking
would.
about a podcast?
A channel.
Oh, well, so you'll have it done by next week, right?
No, I won't have one at all. It's too time consuming for me.
It's so freaking easy.
It
It
is
takes
time consuming.
it takes me 45 minutes an entire week. But that's because Lisa edits all her stuff. I just do live.
Oh,
So, and she put a lot of work into our podcast. She made me sound really amazing. So, she's like, Jeremy McDonald is like, and I'm like, wow, I need to hire her to introduce me from now on. But my show is like, hi, this is my friend Lisa. Welcome to the show.
I'd love to interview. Like, I swear to God, I was Oprah in another, maybe this lifetime. I'm just living weird. I don't know. Different dimensionally. In another dimension, I was Oprah. I love to interview people. It's so much fun. I love to talk.
I do too, and I need to have the staff that Oprah has too that can read the books for me and give me questions on a piece of paper. Just saying.
And that's so rude.
That's what she does because I couldn't figure out. Like I did a show every week, and my publicist, I said, "How does Oprah do this?" She goes, "She has people that read the books for her and gives her questions." I'm like, "Must be nice."
Must be, yeah.
Well, I gotta run because I gotta think
Okay,
about
guys.
bed here soon.
bye.
Uh,
I gotta
Well,
go
guys, thank
too.
you guys so much for being here. I so very much appreciate both you guys. We'll be back. There's a few topics this week, y'all, we want to talk to you. Let me drop y'all down. I'll say goodbye to the peoples. Bye, guys. Goodbye, guys. Goodbye. Hey, don't forget to watch my and Jeremy's podcast. I dropped it earlier
Bye.
today. Okay. But yeah, Jeremy, we'll be back on
Sounds good.
soon.
That was
Okay,
fun.
my friend.
Thanks,
All right.
everybody. Bye bye.
Thanks. Guys, this was fun. We had a good time. So guys, go check out the High Vibe Business Masterclass. We're gonna have some conversation this week. I think one of the conversations we're gonna have is the difference. Sebastian's still back there, so I'm gonna bring you up because I know you still want to talk trash.
What?
The difference between business relationships and friendships.
Oh,
And the reason why I want to have that discussion
oh Lord.
is because I think it's important, as a lot of you all that listen to me, follow me, you want to have your own businesses. You want to maybe have, or you already do have social media platforms, podcasts. You want to grow something on your own. And I think it's important that we talk about and understand the difference between business relationships, friendships, partnerships, and how to navigate that energy, how to decide if it's a good idea for you to get into business relationship with a person or not, or how to not mistake one for the other. All of Lightworker Academy for 2023 and the rebranding of it, I want it done now, but it can't be done now. And so this causes this weird feeling within me, because it's like, what do you mean I can't have it done now? Great, we came up with this idea, let's do it. Well, Lisa, no. There, right? So all of us, I think, have a hand in creating. We created this toxic soup. Where on the one hand, the beauty of it is that we've learned how to create and how to manifest, right? And we've learned that we do create our world, and we've learned the power of our words and the power of our energy and the power of our thoughts. But by the same token, then we've also missed that part of the problem, or the part of the equation, that is the humanity and the 3D, and these things take time. the process. We no longer appreciate the process. We only want the result. So yes, as a Gen Xer, I'll take responsibility for some of that, but I ain't taking all the responsibility. You know why? Because I raised 3 millennials that work their ass off,
Oh,
and every boss they've ever had, if I've ever had the opportunity to meet them, tells me hands down, this child of yours was one of the hardest working people I've ever met, and definitely in their age group. So
Lisa,
I
I need
didn't.
to go.
I,
It's one something on the
I know
East
you need to
Coast.
go. We all need to go.
Bye.
At some point, it's time to grow up. Yes, it is. This has been fun, though, y'all. We've had a good time.
Bye.
So he's out. He literally said he had to go. Sebastian pulls a ghost. All right, guys. On the real, I got to get out of here. We'll talk tomorrow about friends and business and how to know the difference. Ooh, we have 5 days till the new moon solar eclipse. Scorpio. This is going to be crazy. So I got to start talking about that. We got a lot to do. I got to catch a lot of catching up to do. All right, gang. Thanks so much for hanging with me. Lord have mercy, Jesus. 4 hours and 15 minutes. When I came back with a vengeance. All right, I'm out of here. Peace, love, blessings, and joy be unto you today, tomorrow, and for all eternity. I love you guys so very much. Namaste. Bye-bye. Be sure to register today for the High Vibe Business Master Class, October 20th. Wrong one. Jeremy, I got a quick question for you. Wrong one. I'm not sure what happened. So I'm out of here. Bye.